What's up? You like the Zooropa? Greatest YouTube album. What's up? Back at it again. So today we're talking about the highly beloved director, Stanley Kubrick. I think most of his movies are fine, to be honest, but hey, whatever. I want to make a huge disclaimer right now. There are going to be a lot of hot takes that a lot of people are really not going to enjoy. I'm not sorry. I think Kubrick was the second or third director that I finished their whole filmography. So yeah, I rewatched a couple in preparation for this video. But yeah, I guess let's get started. And we're starting off with a pretty strong one, just right off the bat. A huge beloved movie that I just didn't really like. So number 13 is. Okay, so the first time I watched this movie, I thought it was really boring, and I did not think it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. I rewatched this as of recording a couple days ago. This is still kind of fresh on the mind. It still just wasn't that great. I did raise it a half star, but like, it was just okay. I mean, I did like the plane subplot the most. I think that was really interesting, showing all the different intricate workings of the inside of a, what was it, a B-52? I don't know. I'm not a plane guy. I don't really know. But I thought that was interesting. I just didn't really think like I remember really thinking that the government part where they're just kind of talking about what to do about this missile crisis. I thought that was so boring. And then obviously the other dude, I believe his name was Captain Mandrake. He was just like evil. That was about it for that. I'm editing the video. I forgot to mention how Dr. Strangelove himself was not funny at all. I think his like stupid but like German accent was so fake, and how like he does like the Hitler thing. He's German. Anyway, I gave it another chance. Still, it just wasn't that great. I'm gonna give Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, a 6.0 out of 10. All right, next, number 12 is.
Cannot quite admit that it is I who am creating slaughter in this abyss.
So Fear and Desire, I thought about doing a rewatch for, but decided not to. I thought it was kind of quaint. I thought it had a lot of charm to it. It is Kubrick's first film, and it's a film that he really hates, and like I think at one point he wanted to like completely erase it from like the public domain. It's not that bad. I think it's kind of slow in some parts, but really isn't all that terrible. I like the scene like with the girl tied up to the tree. I didn't like that she was tied up to the tree. But I thought that was a cool scene where like the dude was like just really trying to riz her up, and it just was not working. I think the raft was kind of interesting, but I didn't really think it was that bad, to be completely honest. I mean, it's not great. It's certainly not great. It was super low budget, all that stuff. Really short, but I didn't think it was all that bad. And yeah, maybe even a little better than Dr. Strangelove. So fight me. I would give Fear and Desire a 6.2 out of 10. Next, number 11 is.
As man meets murder in the stabbing, slashing climax, that's the payoff for A Killer's Kiss.
So Killer's Kiss, to be completely honest, I don't remember a whole lot from it. I didn't want to rewatch it. It was fun. I think it was definitely a step up, definitely a noticeable step up with a lot of the cinematography and things like that. It's a step up from Fear and Desire. I think they should have done more with the boxing thing. I think they showed, oh, this guy's a boxer, and like that was it. I just feel like there weren't enough stakes either, especially near the end of the movie. I was like, just kind of like wanted it to be over. Maybe a little bit better than Fear and Desire. So I'm going to give Killer's Kiss a 6.3 out of 10. We're getting to some more hot takes here, but number 10 is.
You ever pray with all your heart and soul just to walk away? Maybe it's a bad thing.
It's okay. It's fine. I feel like it was really different from a lot of other Kubrick films, in my opinion. I thought the obviously the cult's weird. I'd like, why did they just why did he care so much about going to that and then thought they were gonna like kill him? I think a lot of the scenes were just really drawn out and I think were just way too long. I just kind of thought it was overall too much of a boring film for me. I'm sorry, it was just a little slow. I would give Eyes Wide Shut a 6.5 out of 10. All right, okay, this is a pretty big one as well. But yeah, number 9 is So, a lot of you probably were like, oh, he's got to put 2001 in like top 3, right? No. So this movie is 2.5 hours long. And it has about an hour of plot and then an hour and a half of like, what am I looking at? There's like the monkeys, like supposed to resemble like evolution or something, that's fine. And then this like 20-minute long trip scene of, I don't even know. And then the end, I'm like, huh? But the actual plot with HAL 9000 is great. Obviously, there are several beautiful shots in that scene and that whole like sequence of actual story, like with the red buttons and stuff and like the weird spinning thing, the spinning room, I don't know. That was cool. HAL 9000 was awesome. So that was great. It's just the rest of the movie really brought it down. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna give 2001 a 6.6 out of 10. Next up, number 8 is Lolita. It wasn't too bad. I don't think it was too bad. Obviously, the subject matter of the movie is quite disturbing and pretty weird. That I just like sometimes I really was like cheering for Lolita the whole time. Really did not want the other dude like around her at all for obvious reasons. It was weird. I think she was just kind of young, didn't know what she was after, just liked any kind of attention she should get, and so that's what came of that. I did like how later in the movie she kept like ignoring him and was like, "Ew, no, get away from me."
You spend too much time with that girl. I don't want you to see her so often.
Oh, come on. She's the only friend I've got in this stinking world. You never let me have any fun.
But I really didn't think it was that bad. It was fine. I didn't think it was as disturbing. I've seen worse. I guess all in all for Lolita, I would give it a 7.2 out of 10. All right, next up, number 7 is
9 Roman armies have been destroyed by Spartacus.
I think Spartacus was good. I think it was entertaining. It's pretty long. It's like during the time in like 1960s with Cleopatra and Ben-Hur and of course Spartacus. These really long movies. Spartacus is actually pretty short in comparison at only, I think it was about 3 hours and 25 minutes or so. Pretty long in comparison to 4-hour long Cleopatra, night and day. It was a fun story. It's just, I like Kirk Douglas. I think he did an excellent job. I think a lot of that was really fun. It was a really fun movie. I was invested the whole way through. And I think honestly, it kind of went quick in my opinion. It was just a fun story. Very different from Kubrick's, normal style. And I think he probably didn't have as much creative control as he did with some of his later films, because this is one of his older ones. But yeah, I really thought it wasn't too bad. I would give Spartacus a 7.3 out of 10. Next up, number 6 is I think The Killing is his most underrated film. I think it's Kubrick's most underrated and underappreciated movie. I thought it was awesome. It's his, I believe, 3rd film, not counting his short films. It was a really compelling story about these guys trying to plan a heist to rob a horse racing, horse derby place. I think it was really intriguing, like trying to figure out all of the intricacies of the heist. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really entertaining. It's a pretty short movie too. It's like 80-something minutes. Easy to rewatch and pretty good for a movie from the 1950s. Entertaining and keeps up with today. I think there are very few movies that can do that. I would say that one does, and also 12 Angry Men as well. But yeah, The Killing's good. I like that one quite a bit. I think it's very underrated, and I would give it a 7.4 out of 10. Next up is
a dream you never want to end. It is not comparable to any other film I can recall. I ask you to turn yourself over to the experience. Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon, I'm kind of conflicted with because it's a like 3-hour movie, 3-hour period piece of 18th century England. The first half of the movie is absolutely brilliant and some of the best Kubrick I've ever seen. I think it's so incredibly fascinating and interesting to watch this dude go from place to place, from army to army. He's fighting with the British, and then he's fighting with the Prussians, and he pretends to be a general, and then he's kicked out. I think that was so cool. And the battle scenes were awesome. It was great. I really, really liked it. The second half, it's just so boring. He settles down, his life becomes horrible because he has a gambling addiction. Loser, L-take. He has a horrible relationship with his douchebag stepson. It's so lame. Well, you had this awesome first half and then this stupid second half. I just could not enjoy. Of course, many of the scenes are really, really pretty with the intricacies of the beautiful mansion that he lives in. But yeah, I was just struggling through those last 20 minutes. Oh my gosh, I just wanted to be over. But because of that really good first half, it boosts it a little bit. I will give Barry Lyndon a 7.5 out of 10. All right, next up, number 4 is... So Passive Glory I've actually seen twice. It's pretty good. I think there are a lot of great things about it. It's one of his earlier films. But Passive Glory, I'm a huge World War I buff. I love military history. I'm not a tanky, but I like learning about it. I think World War I is very fascinating. Like a kind of a turning point between the modern era and the older kind of style where you just kind of shove everyone into battle. And I think this was very interesting. It was a little slow, admittedly. I think it was a really interesting concept, learning about these people that were too afraid to go out to the battlefield, which who wouldn't? Everyone was. And they had to be persecuted for it, which is really sad. The final scene in Passive Glory is just one of those scenes in any movie that I've ever seen that I'm just quiet. I'm just staring at the floor. It's one of the most beautiful scenes I've seen in any movie, I think, in Passive Glory, when all of the rowdy French soldiers are at a bar and there's a German woman that was maybe captured or something because she's crying and she has to perform a song. And she sings it in German, and it seems like the French soldiers know the song also. It's also a folk song. Because they can't sing along in German, they just hum along to it. And it's a really, really somber moment where these rough and rowdy soldiers are just in an instant just quiet and calm, remembering home and remembering the things that they're fighting for and the things that they miss and the things that they might die for and never be able to see again. And then Kirk Douglas is standing outside the captain, and he has to go in there and tell them, hey, we're going back out. It's just a really heart-wrenching scene, and I think it's really beautiful. And just really that scene alone kind of bumps it up a little bit for me.
Das war früher ein treuer Husar, der liebt sein Mädchen ein ganzes Jahr.
I'm gonna give Passive Glory a 7.7 out of 10. Next up, we're in the top 3 now. Number 3 is...
You're not cured yet, boy.
I mean, come on, it's Clockwork Orange. I usually don't really like super weird artsy movies, especially older ones, but this one was kind of awesome. I think it is pretty disturbing. There's a lot of stuff in it, of course, the Droogs are some pretty bad people and they got some weird clothes, but I really like the Mullica bar. I think that place looked awesome. One of many examples of the famous Kubrick stare where Alex DeLarge is, laying at the bar and just... my top 3 will all feature very famous Kubrick stares in them, by the way. I love how they did this kind of torturous method that kind of worked. I thought that was really interesting, and also it's very hard to not picture the scene where it's just kind of that, looking at war and nudity and all that kind of stuff to get him off of it. It's great. It's a nonsensical film, but it's good. I liked it. I would give Clockwork Orange a 7.8 out of 10. All right, number 2 is...
Are those live rounds?
7.62 millimeter. Full Metal Jacket.
So Full Metal Jacket was the first Kubrick movie I ever watched about 3 years ago from the time of recording. And I thought it was really good. And I rewatched it about a week ago from recording because I was like, I haven't seen it in a while. I should watch it again. And it's good. I raised the rating. It was awesome. I agree with a lot of the things that they said in reviews that I just read. They kind of talked about the second half's a lot slower, which is true. But I mean, come on. The first half in Boot Camp is awesome. I think the drill sergeant is probably one of my favorite movie characters in literally any film ever. I think he is hilarious. He is so quotable with all the things he says.
You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece. What's your name, fat body?
Sir, Leonard Lawrence, sir.
Lawrence what, of Arabia?
Sir, no, sir.
I'll bet you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
It's awesome, and apparently he was actually a real drill sergeant too, so that's really interesting. Yes, it slows down a little bit, but I think it picks up at the third act where they have to go into the building and find the sniper. I think that was a really cool scene. I was kind of like mesmerized upon my second watch looking at that. It was really good. I was like, whoa, I remember this being this awesome. You know, I'm always someone that looks for Sigma characters in movies. Not that I'm a Sigma myself, I'm just fascinated by that idea of a character. You know, the Patrick Bateman, the Travis Bickle, the Lou Bloom, all that kind of stuff. I think it's really interesting because they're horrible people, but I don't know, the kind of lone wolf makes it attractive to different young men. Not to me, but I just find it interesting. Anyway, Private Pyle is not a Sigma. He's a very memorable character, especially with the very famous Kubrick stare. And then Joker was a little more Sigma. He was like, why did you sign up? To kill. Like, whoa. Okay, buddy. I would give Full Metal Jacket an 8.1 out of 10. All right, number 1. You probably know what it is. It is... I mean, The Shining was the last Kubrick movie I watched, the one that I finished, and what a way to finish, man. The Shining is awesome. I think it's really good horror. Another Kubrick stare movie. Yeah, I just like it. I don't know. I just like that kind of the emotionless face where there's nothing going on in the eyes, but there's so much going on in the head. I think that is really interesting. Jack Nicholson did great. I thought a lot of the horror was actually really good in it. I think a lot of people say it's super confusing. I think that's kind of the point. And you know, where he goes into the room and then it's like the 1920s for some reason. Like it's like ghosts and stuff. I think that's awesome. I think Stephen King is a pretty interesting dude. I mean, I love Carrie too. Carrie is awesome. I don't know if I'll do a Brian De Palma filmography. Maybe not. Probably not. But yeah, I really like The Shining, and a lot of its beautiful cinematography, and the maze scene is great. Obviously, like a lot of just the shots of the inside of the hotel are great. I would give The Shining an 8.4 out of 10. So that's it for Stanley Kubrick. This is actually one of the longer filmographies that I've done and will do. It's quite a lot of movies. 13 is quite a bit. But yeah, obviously he's a very famous and inspirational director to so many other ones that came after him. He had some of the best in the 20th century, highest rated at least, most beloved movies. Even if I don't like them as much, all of these were 3 or 3.5 stars, except for Full Metal Jacket and The Shining. But yeah, that's it for this video. So tune in next time for the next filmography. I'm really excited. I really like making these videos. So that's good. More to come for sure. Peace.